Okay.
So we are joined from the shores of Lake Michigan in the windy city of Chicago, Illinois, for at the University of Illinois, Chicago, home of the Flames, by my friend, Jackson State alum, Jazzmyn Bates, future dermatology nurse practitioner, now already making waves in the medical field. We've got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School, and we are
Okay.
recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So I'm glad we finally get to do this. And after we talk about your presentation, we gotta tell the cool story of how we met. But I'll let you um, take over from here and tell us all about your great journey into the health field.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jazzmyn. It's nice to meet all of you guys. So currently now I'm a medical assistant. But before that, after I graduated high school, I ended up going to the Jackson State University. So I decided to go to Jackson State University because I always knew I was going to go to HBCU. And when I finally visited JSU, I just loved that homey type of family type of vibe that they had. And that's what really drew me to JSU. And also, none than the other was the Sonic Boom of the South. I was in band in high school, so I really wanted to go to JSU for that. So after I graduated high school, I went to JSU and I ended up majoring in psychology. I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in psychology in 2021. I joined a few things. I joined a few organizations while I was on campus. I was a part of track and field and cross country. I did InterVarsity, and I also did Finally First, and then I also did JSU Diamond Girls. So Finally First, that organization, it was about putting yourself first, and I mentor to a lot of high school students and JSU students. JSU Diamond Girls, it was a community service project where I would do community service at the JSU baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did track and cross country. I did track in high school, so I went over to JSU to do track and cross country as well. And then InterVarsity, that was a Christian group on campus that I had ended up joining, and that's actually how I found my church at Jackson State. So after I graduated from JSU, I did a trade as well. So my trade was esthetician school, and I went to Paul Mitchell School. I ended up winning a full ride to Paul Mitchell, and I ended up getting my esthetician license. But now I currently have my own business with that. Now I'm mostly doing makeup now, makeup and facials from time to time, and waxing. So that was one of the other things that I was really interested in. But that was also that kind of pushed me to do nursing, because I wanted to advance my esthetician knowledge a little bit further, like more on the scientific level. And I know if I wanted to do like chemical pills and Botox and things like that, I would have to become a nurse. So that's when I decided to look into nursing. But before I went into nursing, I decided that I wanted to do a stepping stone into nursing, like such as something like as a medical assistant. I thought that would be a great way to get my foot in the door into the medical field. So that's when I went to community college. I did community college as well. So I did community college. I started my nursing prereqs there, and I also completed my medical assistant certificate there. And then after that, I finally enrolled into University of Illinois at Chicago. And that's when I started my nursing journey in August of 2023. Now I'm currently enrolled in nursing school, and I'm a part of an organization. It's called Student Nurses for Social Justice. And the purpose of that organization is to advance social justice in our communities and profession. And that was also something I wanted to do as well. I wanted to find ways where I can give back and educate people in my community, better do that, better educate them in my community. So currently now, I'm a graduate research assistant at UIC, and I'm also a medical assistant now. So now that I've told you guys a little bit about myself, I wanted to share a few things with you and a few options with you guys. I wanted to give you guys a few options like that, what you can do. There's so many options that you can choose after high school. It's not just, oh, you go to college, you get a good job, and that's that. No, there's so many things that you can do after high school. Like I did, you can do a trade, you can become an entrepreneur, and you could still go to college if you choose. But I just don't want you all to limit yourself. You can also do a lot of other different things. Like you don't have to limit yourself to one thing. And your career is yours. Yes, there's going to be people who may not agree with your career and may not agree with your choices, but that is okay. You want to make sure that you're choosing something that you want to do with your life, because at the end of the day, you have to live your own life. So another thing I want to tell you guys, you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's also going to take some sacrifices, no matter what you do, whether you choose a trade, whether you become an entrepreneur, whether you go to college. There's so many different things, but it's going to take hard work and sacrifices. And life in general, it may throw you some curveballs. I know, for example, for me, when I was in my undergrad at JSU, I ended up having a balance of $3,000 because my mom I couldn't get any more loans. And so the sacrifices I had to make, I knew I wanted to finish my degree. So I had to work 2 jobs in order to finish my degree and go to school. And that's an example of sacrifices you have to make. When you want something, you're going to work for it and you're going to do it. And yeah, it may take you longer. That's okay. That's all right too. College is not a race. Life is not a race. You take your time and you do it. And as long as you complete it, that's the biggest goal. And then also, you guys don't want to just think about the instant gratification, but think about more things in long term. So what I mean by that, what I mean by that is you don't want to just do something and think about the moment. Like, yeah, you may want to do this in this moment, but think about what you want to do for the rest of your life too. And also think about how you can invest and give yourself things back. So let's say you are an entrepreneur and you want to make sure, you're saving money and stuff like that, putting money away, because I know you guys don't plan on working for the rest of your life. So they have things called like a Roth IRA. You can, that's like your own retirement thing. That's something totally different from like a 401k. It's just for yourself. So when you do a Roth IRA, you can put however much money you want to. It takes money out of your account each month. Like, let's say you want to put $25 in there each month. And that's something that when you are having your own business, you can put that money away for yourself. So when you do retire, you'll have something. And then also now, even when you're choosing to go to college or do a trade and stuff like that, the work may seem hard and stuff like that. You may not feel like, oh, I don't want to do all this right now. But think about the later. Are you going to want to work hard later? Because you're either going to work hard now when you're young, or you're going to work hard later when you're older. So that's what I mean by investing in yourself. And then also, when you are choosing to go into when you are choosing your path and what you want to do with the rest of your life too, you want to make sure that you do your research as well. So you want to write down your goals, do your research, and you want to plan for that. Because there's certain things that you're gonna have to do in order to have that. Like, let's say you're going off to college and you want to go away. I went away to college too. So I don't knock it, but there's certain things that you have to keep in mind. Like, so let's say I was 10 hours away from home. So I had to think about getting home, traveling fees, flying. Am I going to drive? I'm going to have to put my stuff in storage for when I come back the next year. So you're going to have to think about those things as well. When you're budgeting and stuff like that, you're going to have to budget for your flights. You're going to have to budget for ways home, even if you're carpooling with people. I was fortunate enough that it was a lot of people from Chicago who went to JSU. So I was able to get a ride with them as well if I wanted to carpool. And so when you're thinking about that, you have to think about putting gas money away, stuff for your storage, things like that. And then you also want to make sure when you are choosing your trade or, you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to think about your purpose, what you want to do, and align that purpose with your business and whatever you want to put into that. Like your purpose, you got to think about what your purpose is, and think about how you want to contribute to the world. So when you're doing your research, you start looking for colleges or programs that kind of align with your goals and your purpose in life. And that'll help you decide too. And depending on what you're majoring in, or depending on what you're looking to go into. Like for me, I want to open up my med spa, for example. I want to do that. So that's why I want to get the dermatology experience so I can work and go into my med spa. And I'll have that dermatology background as well, and an esthetician background as well too. So you have to do your research too. Don't just go, oh, because, this is a party school. No, that's not something that you look for when you're going to college, because at the end of the day, college costs a lot of money. It's very, very expensive, and you want to choose something that aligns with your goals. Like, let's say I majored in psychology. I chose JSU because it was a liberal arts college, and I love the family, close-knit type of vibe. I didn't want to go to a big, huge school for undergrad. And that was another reason why I chose JSU too. So you have to look at also how you learn. What's the best way for you to learn? What's the best environment for you to learn in? And then when you also look into these programs too, you want to make sure you match the requirements as well. You want to look at the requirements that you're going to need to get there. Like, for example, when I got into nursing school is very competitive. So I wanted to make sure that I put my best foot forward, and I wanted to make sure I put my best foot forward so I can make sure that I get into the best program that was for me. There were so many different programs. They have accelerated programs, they have LPN programs, they have associate nursing programs, and I had to choose the best one that was for me. Now, particularly, I like the research aspect of things, and I knew I wanted to get my doctorate. So that's why I chose to go into a graduate nursing program. And so my goal is I'm going to get my RN first, and then I'm going to go back for my doctorate and become a nurse practitioner. So, like, let's say, for example, you have to make certain grades in your prerequisites. That's a requirement. So they wanted C's or above. Well, you don't want to be right at the line, like where you're just right at the requirement. You want to make sure you're above. And you also want to look at you want to look at their program too, and how their program is laid out, how it will go, how fast it's going to go. That's why I personally did not pick a accelerated program, because I felt like that was going to be too quick for me. And I know the best way that I learn, I don't learn that quick. I don't learn certain things quickly, especially like medical information. I did not want to go that fast learning medical information. I want to take time, perfect my craft so I can be the best nurse that I can be. I want to take that time to get that information. I want to give my best to my patients. So that's why I chose UIC. And I also like that UIC was diverse. Diversity is a big thing, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. You're going to meet people of different cultures, and you're going to meet so many different people in life, and you want to make sure you know how to approach that. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be disrespectful. And I would also say, do some research and stuff on stuff like that, like different cultures and things like that. When you want to go out and work, it's great to know that. And it's great to be around other cultures, because when you're around other people, you get to learn their cultures. You get to learn how they do things, what's respectful, what's not. So it's good to have a little bit of diversity. Like, yes, it's nice to be around people that you know too, but it's also good to get out and see something different too. And when you're also doing something too, you want to pick something that you're passionate about. You want to go for something that you really want to do. And I'm making a lot of emphasis on that, because I know a lot of people go into things like, oh, it's like my parents wanted me to do this, or my mom said I would be good at this, or my grandma said I wanted to do this, but it was something else I really wanted to do, but I chose not to do that because, oh, everybody told me it wasn't going to be a good thing for me to do. Don't do that. Choose something that you really want to do. If it's something you really want to go for it. Don't let anybody influence you not to go for it. And everybody's not going to agree with what you do, and that's okay. And you just don't, this is your life. You got your whole entire life ahead of you, and you want to do it in your time. Nothing's a race. And you want to take time to really learn and perfect your craft. You don't want to continue to just do something and live for somebody else.
And I'll take it
do you
one step
guys have
further.
any?
You don't, and yeah, I got some questions we're going to get to, but I'll take it one step farther on what you
Mhm.
said, because I agree with everything you just said. Don't get into things just
Mhm.
because just because you'll think you'll make a lot of money, because something may pay well, but you
Yeah.
could be miserable doing it.
Mhm. Most definitely too. Yeah, don't just do something for money. And you want to make sure you give people what you want to be given. That's my biggest thing. When you're dealing with people or dealing with anything, treat people the way you want to be treated, or treat somebody how you would treat a family member. Because whatever you do, whatever you put out, it comes back to you. That's how I feel. So make sure it's something that you enjoy. Make sure you're not just doing it for the money.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had a student last semester who was interested in nursing. She said, "I want to be a travel nurse. I can make XYZ money." And then,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, she did research and said, I don't think this would be a good fit for me. And now she's looking at other options. And that's fine, because the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing that could happen is you get into this, you start spending money and time that you can't get back, and you see you're really
Yeah.
not going to be passionate about it. So when you start making these decisions after high school, I think that's important. See what you would be comfortable in. And then with the things you're comfortable in, yeah, if this one pays more than this one, that's fine. But don't do something just because all you see is a dollar amount.
Yeah, most definitely. And you also don't want to procrastinate on things either. That's a big, big thing. Anywhere any plan you're trying to do not procrastinate. Do not, because
Including
certain
the
things.
FAFSA. I know they're sick of me talking about it, but that FAFSA needs to be
Mhm.
done.
Oh yeah, you can't
That
procrastinate on that either. Get that done. Get your FAFSA done. Oh, and then when it comes to financial things too, they have jobs and stuff that'll help you pay for school. They have scholarships out there. Make sure you're looking at those, so things don't have to come out of your pocket. And if you are offered scholarships and it doesn't cover your full tuition, you need to look into things like that. Look into how much, if you are going to have to take out a loan or something. Look into how much you are going to have to take out, what the scholarship covers. Also, make sure you read thoroughly, because some scholarships, they'll just be like, oh, it's only for the first year. So you want to make sure you read things thoroughly too.
I didn't know if you had any more slides. I was gonna let you finish up, and I had some things I wanted to talk about for their questions.
Yeah, I don't have any more slides. That was all I had. If
Okay.
I'm just gonna go and answer some questions.
Okay. Well, first of all, that was really good. I did not know some of those things about you, so that's really interesting. But a few things I wanted to talk about that you mentioned that I think are important is you talked about research. And I think that's not only important when it comes to college decisions, but as somebody who has entrepreneurship as well here, and a couple of that I have in this class, I've been in that class, and we talk
Mm-hmm.
about a big mistake entrepreneurs make. Because I hear young people all the time say, I want to be my own boss. And then they hear the Jasmine Sullivan song and think they can just start a business and make instant riches. And
Yeah.
that's just unrealistic. Now, it can be done, but there has to be a process. The research that people do or don't do is what kills entrepreneurs. I see young business owners, they do things that they think is cool, or maybe two or three of their friends, and then they don't do
Mm-hmm.
any research on the market. They don't charge enough. They market to the wrong people, and then they wonder why they can't make any money, even though they
Mm-hmm.
may have a decent idea. So I think that really goes hand in hand when it comes to the research, because if somebody says, I don't want to go to college, I'm going to start hustling now, that's fine. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs don't do the research, and that's where the learning curve comes in, and they lose money.
Yes, most definitely. And another thing too, when it comes to research, you want to make sure, like, when you do start your business, think about how, like, what category you're going to go in, like filing taxes and things like that. You may have to go under self-employed. Like, they have so many different things where you can file your taxes under. And like, even getting your products, you have to make budget out your products, because you have to use that money to put products back into your business as well. That's where a lot of people mess up too. They end up spending all their money and then they don't have any products to sell to their customers. So that's another aspect you have to look at too. The products that you're going to need, putting back into your business too, what you make. And then once you put back into your business, then you see what you make after that.
And the interesting thing is, we have a guest sometimes at this class that is the owner of Happy Tummy's GI Clinic here in Flowood, right down the road. Mm-hmm. And she's the only Black female GI doctor in the state of Mississippi. World-class care, has done amazing things with pediatric patients. But she said herself, I knew everything there was to know about the medical field. I knew nothing about running a business. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. You can be very skilled at a certain thing about what you're selling, but there is a learning curve when you become an entrepreneur, whether you are a part-time entrepreneur or a full-time entrepreneur.
Most definitely.
Now, something else you mentioned, and I think this is important because I like giving kids options. You know, you talked about UIC is very diverse, and it is. I've been to the campus, beautiful campus there in Chicago. But I think Jackson State doesn't get its just due on being diverse as well. We have a lot of kids here that say, I don't want to do the HBCU thing. I've gone to a Black school my entire life. Or I want to go to the SEC school. And that's fine. You know, I'm a graduate of Southern Miss and LSU. I have nothing but great things to say about both of them. But don't not go to JSU or an HBCU because you think it's not diverse. Because the international students at Jackson State are growing more and more every year. And you literally have, like yourself from Chicago, you had people from all over the country there at Jackson State that wanted to get that HBCU experience.
Yes, most definitely. JSU was most definitely diverse because, you know, I know it's geared more towards African-American people, but it wasn't just African-Americans there. I've met people from Kenya. I've met people from China. I've met people from Mexico. Like, it is so diverse. You can still get diversity at a HBCU. Like, it's so much you can get, because just even the Southern culture, I didn't really get a lot of that at here in Chicago. Like, Chicago is very diverse too, but just that Southern hospitality is nothing like it. That was the one thing that I loved. Like, it was nothing like it, because Chicago is so fast paced, and you got to get here, you got to get there. And, you know, I love Chicago and everything too, but it was nice to see something different. It was nice to have that slower pace and actually have time to talk to people, get to know people, and connect with so many different people. So I enjoyed that aspect too. So don't take that for granted either.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the way me and you came to be connected, because it's a cool story, but I think it can be an educational thing, because I met you, it was either 2018 or 2019. I was driving Uber and I picked you up on the Jackson State campus, and we had a great conversation for about 15 minutes. And then you actually stayed in the car and talked to me for about 10 more minutes after you got back to campus. And we connected since then. I've written you multiple letters of recommendation, which I'm not bragging about. I'm just saying you used that connection that we had to do that. And the deal we made, I said, I will write you whatever recommendation you want, because I'm fully behind you and you're great at what you do. All I ask in return is you speak to my class once a year. So you are fulfilling your part of the deal. But that just goes to show you, you know, when it comes, you know, I have kids in here right now that are extremely intelligent, that have worked hard, that make great grades, that have, really, really shown me that they can be great students in high school and in college. And I think the kids that'll see this later, the teachers can speak for the same thing. But the biggest thing that we see missing across the board, and this is not directed at anybody individually, I'm just saying from a generational thing, is kids are scared to speak up. They're scared to walk in a room and introduce themselves. They're scared to network. They think we are pulling teeth to make them speak in front of a class. It is not to be mean or to make you scared, but closed mouths do not get fed.
No,
you have
they
to
don't.
use your resources, use your networking. You know, you ain't got to be a professional salesman. You ain't got to be a professional speaker. But being networking and finding your place, finding a network for people to have your name out there. I mean, even though nursing is a very popular field, like you said yourself, it's a competitive field. If it comes down to two people with similar grades for a nursing position, they're going to take the one that interviews the best. They're going to take the one that has the best verbal skills, because it's not just speaking skills. Isn't talking to a crowd of 2,000 people. If a patient comes in there and you have to explain to them what is wrong, you have to be able to explain that. You have to say, hey, my name is XYZ. I'm your nurse. We looked at your scans. Here's what's wrong with you. You can't be scared to talk about that kind of things. And 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 you use that time, that connection we had that night to use your network. And I don't think I'm anybody important, but you use that to your advantage. And I've been more than happy to do it. And it was all because you reached out.
You are important. Don't say you're not important, because you helped me with a lot of things. I thank God for meeting you, like seriously, because you taught me so much information. You taught me so much valuable information. And I've always had great teachers in my life. And although, you weren't one of my educators, it was still nice to meet someone who was in education, because now I'm also doing a certificate to become a teacher too while I'm in nursing. So you really had a great impact on my life. And I thank God for meeting you.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot, and you got a lot of great things coming. But one more thing I want to talk about before I got to the students' questions, and I think this is you had such a great idea on this, and I'm seeing more of this. Is we have a lot of kids that want to get into the medical field, and we have a great program here in Madison County Schools at our Career Center for health science careers, whether one at all levels, whether it be a tech or an assistant or nurse, doctor, whatever. I mean, the opportunities are endless. But one thing you are doing that I really, really support is work your way up. Don't just jump in head first into a field. Get experience in it. I know people that are nurse practitioners that started out as CNAs. I know people that are surgeons that started out as RNs. You learn the field, get some work experience, get some money in your pocket. You can still work at least part-time while you're in school part-time. You're not going broke. And then it's amazing how much easier a nursing program, an MD program, a therapy program will be once you have that experience in the medical field, because you've already worked with that technology that's going to be used. You've already got patient care experience, and you've already got hands-on experience, and the clinicals are a breeze. So I think your path in that is a great idea. Nurse practitioner isn't something that happens overnight, but your experience in that is going to make you not only more marketable to a program, it's going to make it easier financially and easier academically because you've already eased your way in. So I think that is a great plan. And I encourage anybody that's looking into the medical field to really consider following a similar path.
Yes.
Now, I do have some questions from the students. This first one is DeKayla Williamson. She's I'm about to get her grade on. She's a sophomore, one of our cheerleaders here, at Velma Jackson. And she's impressed by your time management because you do a lot. And she asked, how do you deal with your time on an everyday basis?
So how I manage my time is I make a schedule. I write down everything that I need to do for a day, and I put on like a dry erase board, like what time I'm going to do it. Because believe it or not, I used to be a big procrastinator, and I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson the hard way, and I learned that you cannot procrastinate in nursing school. So, and in general, it's not good to procrastinate. It's not going to always work for you. So, my advice for that would be is write it down somewhere you can see it, because when you see it or you write it down, you're more than likely you're going to do it. You're going to get it done. So I make a list, put it on a dry erase board, or even put it on like a little sticky note, put it on your wall where you can see it, and write down the times that you're going to get it done. Okay, at 2:00, I'm going to study and I'm going to do my homework. At at 2:30, I'm going to eat lunch. I'm going to take a little break. This time I'm going to read in advance for my next class because I know I'm going to have this due on Friday, this assignment due. So let me get the reading done today. So it's just all about having a specific time to do everything that you want to get done. You can get everything done, but making sure you put a specific time on it to get it done. And writing
absolutely
it
down. And find a way that works for you. There's certain and I was the same way, but now I use the Google Calendar. It saves everything. So even if I forget about it, it's going to alert me. And it is amazing how much easier it makes your life when you can put things and actually look at them. So I agree. Find a system that works for you, especially if you plan on being busy. Time management is a big part of high school, and it's even a bigger part of college, and even more so once you get out of college. So it really is a good skill to learn now. Now I got the next three questions are all about nursing, which is fine. But one thing I did want to mention, and we talked a little bit about this, when you're deciding your path, especially a field like nursing. Now, and I'm not big on offering opinions, but this is my opinion. When you look at finding a good fit for yourself, you have to look at how much things cost and what you're going to make. For example, I
Mhm,
know in the Chicago area, Northwestern is a very prestigious school that has a nursing program. But you
mhm,
went to, you're at UIC, which is a public state university. You have to look at, is it really worth taking out a loan and paying more in tuition at a private school than it is at a
mhm,
state school? You'll be making the exact same amount as a licensed nurse in the city of Chicago.
mhm.
That's something you have to weigh out. Nothing against Northwestern, because this is a great school, but you have to look
Mhm.
at, would that really be worth the investment? So I
Yeah.
really encourage people to look at that when they're deciding their path. When all you need in a certain field, literally to be a nurse, you need a license to nurse in the state you're in. How you get
Mhm.
that, there are many ways to do it. So I think looking at the cost is extremely important.
Yes.
But this is David Ford. He's a junior member of our football and our bowling team. So kind of interesting combo there. But
Mhm.
he asked, what was your main motivation to pursue a career in nursing?
My main motivation to pursue a career in nursing was to give back to the community and educating my community. That was my biggest thing on health, because I noticed just being just in my community, that's something that we're not really educated on. It's just like we're told like, yeah, this is good for you and stuff like that, but we're not taught like how to maintain our health, so we don't have to be on all these medications and stuff like that, and just even just eating better and stuff like that. It's just certain things that I felt like I didn't get education on, and if I can provide that to a community and just people around me to better their health and just have more longevity in their life, that was my biggest thing that motivated me on nursing. And I always had a love for science. Science is my biggest love. Science was always my favorite subject in school. Science and math, those are my two big things. And just researching things and just bettering the healthcare system as a whole. That was my biggest goal on becoming a nurse.
Yeah, and then for anybody thinking about nursing now, some of these technological advances
Mhm.
are really cool. Unfortunately, I had a scary hospital stay last year, and even though I had a routine surgery, it was still some of the cool stuff they were hooking up on me. I was like, that's pretty dang cool. I didn't know y'all could do that. So you get to play with a lot of
Mhm.
toys as well. There's a lot of things you get to tinker with. This is Alexander Williams. He's a senior, and he asked, as a nurse, what are your biggest strengths and your biggest weaknesses?
So my biggest strengths would probably be as a nurse, caring for the patient, having compassion for the patient. That's my biggest thing. And patient advocacy is one of my biggest things too, one of my biggest strengths. And my weaknesses for me would probably like be spending like a long time with the patients, more patients than more than I need to, because I know we have to have like a certain time, but when I connect with I that's my biggest thing. I want to have that connection with the patient. I want to be able to advocate for them and give them the best care. And yeah, that would probably be my weakness. It's just spending a little bit too much time to the patient and being a little too detailed on certain things.
I get it. Now I got one more. This is Harmony Williams. She's a senior, actually very interested in being an entrepreneur. She wants to get her
Mhm.
cosmetology license. Really has a talent for hair, and wants to get into that. And I think she'll do well in it. But she asked, "What qualities do you think someone would need to be successful in nursing?"
What qualities? I would say biggest thing is compassion. Second thing would be having empathy for your patient. Third thing is hardworking, and diligence. And I would say diligency is another like big thing. You want to make sure you're diligent. You want to make sure you're able to advocate for your patient and being able to also research things. Research is a big thing. Healthcare is changing every day, all the time. And when you research certain things, that's how you can better advocate for your patient. Treating you want to, and the biggest thing in nursing is treating every patient like the most important patient in the world. That's the biggest thing. And if you have all those qualities, that will make you a really great nurse.
That's awesome. I agree. And I've said this a lot, but I really encourage young men to get involved in nursing, because there is a need for men to get into nursing. Every nurse that I
Yes.
hear in the country saying we need more men to get into this. Because we hear all these fields that need more women, and they do. That's not an
Mhm.
argument. But nursing needs men, and I think
Yes.
that there's really a push for that. And I encourage all these young men that want to really look at the medical field, consider nursing. There is
Mhm.
believe me, there is a spot for men in these nursing careers that these places would love to fill with young men, as
Yes.
well as young women. But it really is something I encourage everybody to look into. Now, we're almost out of time, and I just thank you so much. I thank you so much for doing this. You just amaze me with everything you do. But before
Thank
we
you.
go, just with all these kids getting ready to, and you're not much older than them, with all these kids getting ready to get out of high school and make that transition to whatever their next step is. You said yourself, life's going to throw you curveballs. There's going to be obstacles, no matter who you are. We have some first generation Americans who will see this later that maybe have dealt with obstacles for immigrants. We have a lot of Black students that will see this that have dealt with things that young Black kids deal with. We have, we may have young men that be like, look, I don't want to get into nursing, but there's a need for them. So, no, as they start making this transition and are going to face these obstacles, what can they do to overcome these obstacles when they come?
So when you're getting ready to make that transition from going from high school to whatever you're choosing to do, you want to take time, I would say, to overcome that. Take time to really think about certain things. And like I was saying, think about what you want to do, because you're always going to be hearing outside sources all the time. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're not going to make good money in that if you do that. No, think about your passion. And just remember, that's what you have to remember. Your goal, your passion, what you have going for yourself. You have to really, at that point, you have to really cloud at everyone else, because you're transitioning into what you want to do in your adult life. So overcoming that is just don't listen to other people. Don't. Do what's best for you. And like I was saying, research and plan. And then you make the best decision from there. If community college is the best decision for you, go to community college. If being an entrepreneur is that best decision for you, go for that. If a trade is that best decision for you, go for that. Go for it. Don't let anyone limit you. Just go. Just do it. Just do it. Don't think of, because when you sit in there and think about it too much, you're going to sit there and not do it. And you're going to be, later on, you're going to be thinking about, oh, I should have, could have, would have. No, do it. Whatever you want to do, go for it. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
The demand is high, but the rewards are great. Love to see it. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us all the way from the University of Illinois, Chicago, Jazzmyn Bates. It is such a pleasure. I can't wait to do this again.
Yes, I can't wait either. Thank you guys so much.
I talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, talk to you soon.